Hey there, everybody. So, welcome back to where I've been sharing a verse past couple of days and talking about it. So, today's verse is another one of those verses that are kind of confusing, like yesterday's verse. So, it makes more sense when you go deeper into the meaning of the verse and what it talks about. And this one isn't as confusing as yesterday's, but certain parts of it are confusing. So let's just talk about it. So it is Psalm 63, verse 1. You, God, are my God. Earnestly I seek you. I thirst for you. My whole being longs for you in a dry and parched land where there is no water. Okay, so the first part of that verse makes sense. Like, you God are my God. Like, I seek you. Like we want to. We all want. Well, at least a lot of us who are Christians want to draw closer to God, and we thirst for a relationship with God, and our whole being longs for us. No, our whole being longs for to draw closer to God. But the last part of this verse is probably the most confusing part of it. In a dry and parched land where there is no water. Now you're probably wondering why. Well, if you think about who wrote this book, it was David. Because David wrote, I think he wrote all the Psalms, or at least most of the Psalms. And so David is the writer of this verse. And so you're probably wondering, why is David talking about living in the desert? Because basically, a desert is a dry and parched land where there is no water. But I think that's more of a figurative, like with figurative meaning. Like with yesterday's, Jesus isn't going to come knocking on your door and come join me and be in a relationship with me. He's not going to necessarily knock on the door of your house. And like with this, David isn't saying that he wants to be in a desert. But what David is actually saying is he's saying that the water he's talking about is basically the living water, or at least it's meant as the living water. And so what he's talking about here is he's talking about like when we're far away from God and we're not as close to him where we can hear his voice, and we don't feel like we're a Christian and it's a hard time for us. And mostly what David is talking about is he's talking about the dry and parched land where there is no water. He's talking about well, guess I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about here, because there's two things that I just thought of for what he could be talking about. And so that makes this a little bit of a difficult one to understand. Because he could be talking about the times in our life where we feel far away from God. But he also could be talking about the wanting to to wanting to reach those who don't have a relationship with Christ. And so that's where this becomes a little bit difficult to understand. But really, I think what he's saying overall is he wants to always be close to God. And in those times where he feels like he's far away from God, he wants to draw close to him. And so this verse is let me just sum it up in one sentence here. David is talking about wanting to draw closer to God. And so that's what this verse pretty much means. And we went into a lot more, like a deeper understanding of this verse. But overall, it means that David wants to draw closer to God. And so that's what this verse is saying. And that's also how we should want to feel. We should want to draw closer to God, just like David said in this verse. And so thanks for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and see you later. Bye.